what happens to a not-for-profit when there is no funding?
Well, I know that our colleagues in the Downtown East Side are definitely struggling in a bunch of different ways. The city of Vancouver has been fairly proactive, at least in the words, and I'm not sure how much action is happening entirely.
Yeah, we've seen lots of memos.
Lots of Zoom calls and about issues. But one of the things that I think they're trying to do is, well, right off the bat, any city funded organization that was getting a grant from them, they released the money. So they gave everybody the money. They said,
good.
Okay. Yeah, just use it as you need. So if you were funded from the city then you had cash on hand.
So obvious question, does BWSS get any funding from the city?
We do. We've been getting a portion of funding from the city, just under $50,000.
Which is great news.
Just under $55,000 for a long time. I don't even know how long. I think it's it could be maybe approaching 40 years.
Okay, so that helps. Definitely helps.
It does. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to hear that. So your lights are still on. You still have staff, and you're still able to offer support services.
Yes.
Is there something in particular that you want to talk about right now in terms of what's going on?
Yeah. Well, what do you think is going to happen, Don? I mean, I don't know if you saw Dr. Bonnie Henry, the provincial health officer, talk yesterday. I haven't seen it myself. I'm mostly just going by what I heard. That, she's, and I think she's confirming what many of us have suspected. And if we're looking at China, it's been over 14 weeks now that there's been a fairly significant social isolation, quarantine kind of scenario. She dropped it to say that this could be the new normal with a little bit of a reprieve perhaps in the summer. What do you think about that? That's the question for all of us right now is what's going to happen?
For me, it's been interesting because I've been talking to my kids, been talking to family and friends, my class that I go to school with. And it's really interesting to see or hear the tension that is at the edges of our conversations because there's such an unknown about what's happening. I saw some of the headlines this morning that said the pandemic may stretch into June or July. I saw the report that said there could be recurring conditions coming into the fall and that it will come back again. So I think you're right. This could be the new normal. My biggest fear, if this is the new normal and we are in this state of emergency or on the edges of a state of emergency, my fear is I wonder what's happening behind our backs or what's happening where we aren't looking. And, are the man camps still available? Are they still operating? Is the pipeline going through? What are all those things that we aren't looking at because we're so distracted by everyday stuff? So I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think TMX is still, I think the Prime Minister confirmed that yesterday. I watched his press conference and, he said TMX is still on. And Jason Kenney, of course, has been talking about it. And I know that the concerns have been raised about Leslie Farley, who's the executive director of the BC Association of Aboriginal Friendship Centres. She's in a recent interview that she did and a conversation that I had with her recently. She said that right now there are planes flying in to that region, bringing workers.
Yeah, it's business as usual. For everybody but us. Yeah. I'm kind of with Naomi Klein. What's really going on? She's been pretty vocal lately.
She has been really vocal. Canada's, kind of been a one-trick pony in that resource extraction is the way to generate revenue. And, it's the economy is built on resource extraction. And so it seems kind of sad it's always sad, but in particular right now, because oil is so cheap right now. And when the oil that we have, I guess, or Canada has, or Alberta is selling, is the lowest version of that oil. So it's just kind of bizarre to think that this is the best that we can do and still going back to the same old thing. And right now it doesn't appear to be even be a market for it. And it's the worst version of it. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's thinking about other ways to, kind of be and manage as a society. And I was thinking in talking with our team about this yesterday morning. We have a Zoom. The direct service team meets and the leadership team meets by Zoom, and I was just saying, like, humans have been in various versions of upheaval over the millennia, and this could be another one of those.
And it's certainly not anything like we've been through or our parents have been through, but it is certainly a major disruption. And, and I have to believe that and maybe it's just naive optimism, that while there may be some horrible things going on behind our backs, there are also a lot of incredibly positive and wonderful things that are occurring. And whether it's, lending a hand on the street to a friend, to somebody that you don't know, or maybe it's a new invention. Maybe it's just a group of musicians having a jam online. It's those little things that seem to make a difference to connect each other. So
isn't that great? Like that's so on one hand, it's funny what the government's doing, and and in what ways are they continuing to harm the things that sustain life. On the other hand, here's this reset that's occurred where we are having to slow down.
Yeah.
People are spending time with their children.
Sharing our feelings. It's
interesting to think what happens if you remove humans we jump off the treadmill or the hamster wheel.
Oh, we've all been forced to. I'm curious, what's when you have your Zoom conversations with your staff, what's the mood like?
It's mixed. I mean, we've had 3 of our staff that have been in social isolation because of travel, and also because of possible contact with someone. So that for those 3, they're more stuck at home than the rest of us.
How can people help BWSS?
Right now, we do have a bit of a fundraising campaign going. We're seeking assistance with staffing expenses in order to be 24 hours.
Yeah.
The other thing that happened to us is we're social entrepreneurs, and we've been operating a thrift store since 2000.
My sister's closet.
My sister's closet.
Yeah.
And we had to close my sister's closet, and so and we had to lay off those staff that work at the store.
Well, that's heartbreaking.
And we're losing $80,000 a month right now in revenue. And the store represents about a third to a half of our operating funding. And it is that discretionary revenue that we've had over the years that allows us to do things in a very nimble way and in a creative way outside of the whims of perhaps government policy or to be really responsive to what we see. And so we've been seeking donations. And it's interesting that we have been receiving donations. So we're going to amp that up a bit more because we don't have any guarantees that the provincial government, again, we kind of fall through the cracks. The problem often with government is the silos that funding is in. And so we cover a few different silos and so that it's hard sometimes for government to wrap their head around how they can create a funding stream that's going to assist, in this case, our crisis line be 24 hours. And so, we've gone ahead and done it because it needed to be done. And we're advertising to get the word out so that those that need our support can be aware of it. And so we're looking for funds to sustain that for the next 3 months.
So if somebody wants to help, do they find you online? Is that the best place to go?
BWSS.org.
Okay.
Is the website, and our homepage is dedicated to COVID-19, and there's a link on the website to make a donation.
And if somebody needs to call the crisis line at 604-652-1867, I think. Is that
That's
right?
the text number.
Okay.
That's the text number. I mean, that's the text number, but our line is 604-687-1867.
Okay. But all the information is available online. I guess I'm still struck by the notion that adversity brings out the best and the worst in society. I know you're seeing some of the worst because of the increasing calls and and women needing support who are in violent or aggressive relationships. So I'm delighted that you're there, and thank you for all the work that you do and your team.
Yeah, we have a great team, Don. Thank you. We have a really great team, and I'll share your sentiments with the team. Everyone's really committed, and we've been saying all clean hands on deck.
Yeah,
and it's happening. Our team is doing great.
Okay. Listen, I really want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us and to share what's happening.
Thank you for the opportunity to join you, Don. It's always a pleasure, and I love our conversations very much.
I look forward to seeing you in person shortly.
Likewise.
Thanks, Angela.
Take good care.
Bye now.
Bye.
We've been speaking with Angela Marie MacDougall, who's the Executive Director of BWSS, Battered Women's Support Services. If you want to find them, you can find them online at www.bwss.org. That's another edition of the Conversation Lab. This radio program and podcast is produced by CFRO FM in Vancouver's downtown east side on the territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. Our gratitude and thanks to them, as well as the many not-for-profit organizations and community groups for their support. If you enjoyed this program, please consider becoming a member of Co-op Radio to help support programs like these. If you know anyone or an organization with a story to share, please let them know about us. We can be found at coopradio.org, theconversationlab.ca, and on many social media and podcasting platforms. Kimit Sekon, John Massacar, and Julian Anton have helped produce this program. Thanks, guys, and thank you for dropping by the Conversation Lab.